Okay, so little review. I'm going to do one of your homework problems. How about that? I'm going to do number 16 for you. I thought I gave you guys, yeah, page 9 and 10, evens. Yep. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put parentheses around this so I don't screw it up. Maybe just page 10, it looks like, huh? Yeah, it looks like I wrote down page 10 evens. My other classes I gave 9 and 10. So you got kind of lucky. All right, so I'm looking at the first fraction, r plus 9 over 7r plus 63. I'm going to rewrite this. In fact, it's a division problem, right? So I'm going to have one fraction. I'm going to change this. I'm going to flip these, right? So nothing, I'm going to change the numerator here. It's already factored. So I got an r plus 9. The denominator, I can take out a common factor, right? Yes. Good. Good. Now, I'm going to go ahead and flip and factor at the same time. By the way, does everyone have a packet now? Huh? So this denominator becomes my numerator, and I'm taking out a 4, right? R minus 3. Good. Then my numerator becomes my denominator. Okay. Let's see. I have only one way to get r times r. Good. Yeah, by this time in mathematical life, you should be pretty good at factoring a simple trinomial like this. One's a plus, one's a minus. They're going to subtract to 2r. Yeah, there you go. Good. So it's going to be a plus 5 minus 3. Okay. Now we can go ahead and. Yep. R minus 3s, R minus 9s. 4 over 7 times r plus 5. So you guys should be up to this par. Okay. All right. So we're going to start addition and subtraction next. Okay. And I give you a little sheet that I stole off of Mr. Hardy. And there's a reason why I stole this off of Mr. Hardy, and I'll show you in a little bit. Okay, let's suppose I want to add two fractions together. That this is going back to your, like, are you smarter than a fifth grader game again, right? I know you guys hate this game. So if I want to add, oh, I don't know, 3/4 plus 5/6. How did you How did you do this in grade school when you were learning? Maybe you didn't listen to my question. In grade school, what did they tell you to do? Well, not cross multiplication. I hope they didn't do that. I really hope they didn't do that because because that is a shortcut that doesn't teach you factors. Okay, so when you're when they showed you the shortcut, like cross the multiplication, they don't. You lose that factors of a number. In other words, when you get to algebra, it's going to hurt you. Okay, because you're not building on that times tables. Got it? Yeah, and it's not, and again, it's not not the student's fault. Is because that teacher, it was easier to teach it that way than making you guys use your times tables and get you to factor. In fact, they probably do it today, which really why so many kids struggle in algebra when they get there. Yeah. They should have said, "Hey, find your lowest common denominator," right? And your teacher hopefully would have done that. You find your lowest common denominator, right? So, and sometimes they said your teacher said, "Well, just find a common denominator. Just take your 4 times the 6, and you get a common denominator. Remember, and you get 20. Okay, I'm sorry, 24. 20 was my last hour I used. So you get 24. It is a common denominator, and again, teachers did teach that. And then at the end of the problem, you would simplify. But when you get into your higher grades, you are thinking in your head, hopefully, well, the factors of 4, the multiples of 4, right? 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 4 times 3 is 12, 16, 20, 24, right? Multiples of 6. Now, this is, if you did that shortcut, your brain's not used to this. Okay. Multiples of 6, 6.
12, 18, 24.
Okay, and you're and it's, yeah, 24 is a common factor for both 4 and 6, but is it the lowest? And it's not. Okay, I have a 12 in both of them. That's your lowest common denominator, right? So we don't want to use 24. We want to use 12. All right. So then that becomes your denominator for both, right? 12. So then you would multiply 3/4. Let's see, 4 goes into 12. So we're going to change these to 12, right? A lot of different ways that this was taught. 4 goes into 12, 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Plus, you're just multiplying each one of these by 12 over 1. 4 goes into 12 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. This one, when you multiply it by 12, you have 6 goes into 12 twice. 2 times 5 is 10, right? The only difference that, a teacher may have showed you differently is maybe they didn't do this step, maybe you did it another way. But there is no other way other than finding a common denominator. Somewhere along the line, your teacher had to show you how to do the LCD. Then you added 19 and 10. I get 19 twelves. Okay. Now you did that back in, I'm hoping, fifth grade, right? Somewhere around fifth grade. But we're going to do that in algebra. All right. Okay. Look at example 1 here. We're going to need the lowest common denominator. And in algebra, we really say lowest common multiples because they're multiples of each other, right? So I'm going to look at the numbers 3 and 5. What's my lowest common denominator or multiple of 3 and 5? Yeah. This time it happens to be those two multiplied together, right? Okay. Now I'm going to look at my x's. This is where it gets a little tricky. Okay. How many x's am I going to need in my lowest common denominator?
One.
How many did you say, Asher?
Uh, two.
Two. Because I have two of them here. If I only put one x there, does x squared divide evenly into x? Well, no. You need x squared, where they both can divide evenly into. Okay? So there's my lowest common multiple, 15x squared, which means which means that's going to become my denominator, 15x squared. Well, how did I make 5x squared or 5x into 15x squared? I'm going to multiply by 3x, right? How do I make 3x squared into 15x squared? Yeah, you're going to multiply the numerator by 5. So for this fraction, I have 5 times 2 is 10. I have my plus sign. And this side, I have 8 times 3x, 24x. Okay. Well, yeah, that's another part of this whole mess is we got to make sure that we can't simplify it any further. So I'm going to put, let's see, I can take a factor of 2 out, right? And I'm going to put my x term first. So I have 24 divided by 2 is 12, and I still have my x plus 5 all over 15x squared.
We still can't. I mean, does it apply that we can't like cancel things out right off the bat here?
Correct.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's correct. Don't cancel up here. You have to make it a common denominator first. Now, this happens not to be, you can't simplify it any further. Yeah. So either one of these answers is okay. Say on a quiz, you get to this point and you say, oh, you run out of time or something, and you leave it like this, you're good on this particular problem. But if you can simplify it and you don't, gotta, it's really not correct unless it's simplified. Okay. All right. Let's do another example. Example number 2 here. I have one, so I need to find the lowest common multiple. I'm going to call it multiple since we're in algebra. And here, I can actually factor out a 2, and I get x minus 4. Yeah, I'm going to use that instead of the original. So my least common multiple, let's see, I need a x plus 3. I need a 2. I'm going to put that in front. And then I need an x minus 4. So there's my least common multiple. Okay, so this numerator is going to have to be multiplied by everything I don't have in the denominator. So I'm going to need to multiply that 4 by 2 times x plus or x minus 4, right? The x plus 3's cancel here. So I'm going to need to multiply this by 2, 2. Hang on, I'm going to cancel in a minute. 2 times x minus 4. This fraction, let's see, I have the 2 and the x minus 4, so I'm going to have to multiply this by x minus 3. I'm sorry, x plus 3. What I don't have in the denominator. All right, you ready? So in my denominator, I have the 2, the x plus 3, and the x minus 4. Yeah. In my first fraction, the numerator, 4 times 2 is 8, and I'm going to have that x minus 4. Plus, I have my 2 times x plus 3. Now, if you feel like you want to be a risk taker, you could leave your answer like that, and hopefully it won't simplify any further. But that wouldn't be a wise decision. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply everything out, combine like terms, and see if anything cancels. And take a chance, roll the dice. So I have 8 times x is 8x. 8 times negative 4 is negative 32. Positive 2 times x is positive 2x. Positive 2 times positive 3 is positive 6. All over 2 times x plus 3, x minus 4. Okay, if I combine like terms, let's see. 8x, 2x, 10x. See, negative 32 plus 6, negative 26. Yikes. I'm going to factor this further. I'm going to take out I can't. A 2. I get 5x minus 13. And those of you who left it like this, that were big risk takers, you could have got away with it. Because I end up with 2 times 5x minus 13. Oh, no, we can factor out a 2, right? Oh, man. We could have canceled it. We can cancel out a 2. So, man, you would have been wrong. There's my answer. Nice problem, huh? That was fun. Oh, I don't know. We're going to spend a few days on this. So. Now, the whole reason why I stole this thing from Mr. Hardy this morning is because apparently, and I didn't know this, you can find for numbers the lowest common multiple for numbers. All right, and it explains how to do it all here. So I'm just going to see how we can do this. If we had to find the lowest common multiple of 5 and 6, let's use 4 and 6 because that was a good example. We know it's 12, right? Okay, this is how you do it on your calculator. I'm going to hit the math key. It says hit the math key. Go over to num, and then use the number 8, and see how you get a little LCM on there. Isn't that cool? Aren't you guys excited? The factors. Let's say we have a 4, and then we'll use the comma. You got to separate it by commas and put the other number in there, 6, and no, it's a comma.
When you get
Comma is above 7.
oh,
Okay, you got to put the comma in there.
right.
Then hit enter, and it gives you the lowest common multiple. Now you might say, well, that's pretty easy. What if you had numbers like 212 times 317 or something? It'll find the lowest common multiple for you. Yeah. Yeah. Suppose you had, I don't know. Let's do math num 8. Let's say our numbers were 122, comma, and 236. Look at that. Does it for you. So it can come in real handy.
Can we do this for sample 3 or no?
Yeah. No, we don't need to because we're going to factor the denominators, right? You ready? Because I sure am. Going to factor the bottom. Can't factor anything out. So I'm going to guess and check. X times x is x squared. Factors a 10. And again, hopefully you know how to do this in your working minds by now. 1 and 10 and 2 and 5. Opposite signs because they multiply to a negative, which means we're going to be subtracting to a negative 3. So we're going to use 5 and 2, right?
So 5 will be -2.
Yep. We factor this one. See, x times x. This is positive. Factors of 25. 1 times 25. 5 times 5. They're either both positive or both negative, and they're going to be both negative. Good. Negative 5. Negative 5.
Let's factor out on x -5.
So, what's our multiples here? Our lowest common multiple. Let's see. I have an x minus 5 here, right? And I need an x plus 2. What does this someone need? Careful. What does this denominator need? Well, I have an my x minus 5 here, and I have an x plus 2. What do I need here?
Then the x plus 2. X minus 2.
Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna have you guys find the answer for this. I'm gonna ask the question in a way.
I don't like this.
Okay. Let's look at this.
Alright.
Here's this denominator. What does this denominator need in my LCM?
And x.
X minus 5 and x plus 2, right? Look at this denominator. What does this denominator need?
X plus 2.
And plus.
X plus 2. X minus 2.
What are the two parts?
What
of
are the
that
two
denominator?
factors for the denominator?
X minus 5.
Do I have
And another x minus 5.
There we go.
What? What?
Oh, watch language. Okay. Remember back when I told you? Remember when we did number 1 here?
Brain shutting off.
See how I had an x squared and an x to the first? What was my lowest common denominator? I had to take the highest power of x. It's the same thing with quantities. This is actually, you can think of this as x minus 5 squared, right? So you got to take the highest power, x minus 5 times x minus 5. So that's our new denominator. I have an x minus 5, x minus 5,
You only do that if there's like a perfect square. Because that's not.
square, could have been cubed, could have been quartic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever the highest exponent is, like this is the highest exponent of x minus 5, you got to use that, okay? And x plus 2. Okay. Yeah, this is not an easy section. Like I said, this is like, in fact,
Why we wait till the end? It's the
Yeah.
culmination.
in fact, Miss Meyer, isn't this adding and subtracting ratios probably the hardest thing we do in algebra 2, isn't
I
it?
would say.
I think so. It's the hardest concept. All right, so what am I going to multiply? Looking at the first fraction and looking at my lowest common multiple, what am I going to multiply my numerator by? Okay, I have one of the x minus 5s, right? Boom. I have an x plus 2. What do I need to multiply that 5 by? The x minus 5.
You just kind of guessing.
It's going to take a lot of practice. There's no way around it. If you ever do your homework and you kind of skate by not doing homework, you're going to have to do homework on this. Yeah, there is no way around it. 'Cause it's just going to practice. You have to do practice on this. Okay, looking at my second fraction and looking at my lowest common multiple, what am I going to have to multiply this 6 by? What don't I have? X plus 2. Make sense? Are we good? Eh? Eh? You know what? I'm going to write this all out. Usually I do 2 steps at once, but so I have 5 times x minus 5 plus, it gets even funner with subtraction, 6 times x plus 2. Now I have to simplify from this point on. And we got a lot of algebra to do here. I have to distribute the number out in front. So 5 times x, 5x, good,
25.
minus 25, good, Maddie, plus,
6x
awesome,
plus 12.
great. And my denominator remains the same.
Now we add those numbers at the top together.
Mhm. Okay, I've got a positive 6x, positive 5x, gives me 11x, negative 25, positive 2, minus 13, all over x minus 5. And if you want to put a squared there, that's fine. I'm going to leave them in factors. X minus 5 and x plus 2. And looking at these ugly numbers, we know that this is simplified.
And if it wasn't a perfect square in that first part, we would just be looking at it 5 x plus 2.
Correct. If this was not there, you would just be looking at your lowest common multiple of x minus 5, x plus 2. Correct. But it's not. We have an x minus 5 squared. Okay. So this is tough, right? And I'm purposely left a couple days open here for addition and subtraction. In your packet, let's go back to your packets. Let's start doing some of these. These are no problems, right? Okay, here these are like denominators. Okay, it's like adding, 2/4 and 1/4. Your denominator is going to be the same. So our denominator is going to be the same, right? 3x. All we have to do is not multiply, add our numerators, 4 plus 5, 9. And 3 goes into 9 how many times? 3 goes into itself once. So my answer here is 3 over x.
Why didn't we just start off with this first?
I don't know. Because you never find like the denominators on quiz or test problems.
It's going to be very rare.
We're going to be using unlike denominators. Okay, I have same denominator, so I'm going to end up with this denominator x plus 3. This time I'm going to take 2x minus 4. Yeah, let's just check to make sure we can't cancel anything out. So I've got x minus 2. Nothing cancels. So you could either put 2x minus 4 over x plus 3 or 2 times the quantity x minus 2 over x plus 3. Either one. Number 3. Now, do we have common denominators here?
Technically, yes. They're just
Technically,
flip-flop.
yes. If we factored out a -1 from here,
On both sides, actually.
we would have an x squared minus 9, right? So we could do one of two things. We could leave our -1 in the denominator. We're going to run out of room here. So my denominator is going to be x squared minus 9. Let's go ahead and factor that. It's easy to factor, right? X plus 3, x minus 3. And we can leave our -1 there. That's fine. We can do that. And then we go ahead and add these together, right? Because they're common denominators. So 2x minus an x gives me 1x. 11 plus 2 is plus 13. There we go. We could leave it just like that. Nothing cancels out. Okay. Unlike the denominators. Now, this is where, like we did on the other sheet, right? This is where you have to find the lowest common multiple. A lot of students will just look at, they don't even need to write the lowest common multiple. After you do enough of these, you just multiply the numerator by whatever this denominator doesn't have. In other words, this fraction. But that's okay. We'll find the lowest common multiple. See, x minus 5 and x plus 2. What am I going to multiply the 2x by? Well, I have an x minus 5, so I'm going to need to multiply this by x plus 2.
So basically you crisscross multiply.
Yeah. Okay.
And
And x minus 5.
these are just for those specific problems with those tests.
Well, it gets tricky when you have, like we did on the third one on the example sheet, when you have x minus 5 squared. Then it gets a little tricky. All right, so my denominator is going to be x minus 5 times x plus 2. My numerator, I'm going to write it out, 2x times x plus 2. Now be careful here. Okay, subtract. Now I'm going to have to put this whole thing in parentheses because I'm subtracting this entire thing. 4 times x minus 5. I need double parentheses there. And again, I'm writing out every single step. That's why I needed the double parentheses. If you skipped a step, you probably would get away without the double parentheses. All right, ready? Let's see. We're going to have to distribute, 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 distribute. So I get 2x squared, 2x times 2, 4x, minus, parenthesis, 4 times x, 4x, 4 times negative 5, negative 20, all over x minus 5, x plus 2. Still not done with distributing because I have to distribute the negative sign. So I get 2x squared plus 4x minus 4x plus 20 all over x minus 5, x plus 2. Okay? And again, I want to just remind you, I'm doing every single step. You probably could have done a couple of these in your head. Plus 4 minus 4x is going to cancel each other out, right? So I get, now I'm left with 2x squared plus 20, right? This time I am going to skip a step. I'm going to go ahead and take out a 2, and I'll have x squared plus 10 all over x minus 5, x plus 2, and I think we're done, right? Because we can't factor x squared plus 10. And there we go. All right. I'm not going to assign any homework. But if you want to get a jump start, You could start with page 13. Okay, but I'm not officially signing that. I want to continue doing some more example problems for tomorrow. Okay.
First one of I have this process right here.
I was